Hello and welcome to the 69th Amangamek-Wipit Lodge Banquet. My name is Gabriel Cooper and I will be serving as your Master of Ceremonies this evening. If this past year has taught us anything, it's that Scouts are more resilient than we have ever imagined. Together, we have had to adapt to the challenges of each new day and meet the moment. Over the course of this past year, the dedication of our Scouts have been awe-inspiring, and our banquet is a testament to that belief. So, without further ado, please join me in the obligation of our order. I do hereby promise, on my honor as a Scout, that I'll always and faithfully observe and preserve the traditions of the Order of the Arrow, when mocked and dink, Winkalausik, with Tahemaway. I will always regard the ties of brotherhood and the Order of the Arrow as lasting, and will seek to preserve a cheerful spirit even in the midst of irksome tasks and weighty responsibilities, and will endeavor, so far as in my power lies, to be unselfish in service and devotion to the welfare of others. As many of you know, our lodge works very closely with our council's camping committee. Please welcome the chair of the council camping committee, Mr. Craig Weston.
Brothers, as chairman of the council camping committee, I thank you for your creativity and determination to bring the outdoors and camping to your fellow Scouts during these difficult times. As usual, you have risen to the challenge, making the most of a few in-person events and many virtual activities to promote fellowship, fun, and the outdoors over this past year. Members of our lodge were key contributors to the Memorial Day Capital Camp-In, our first major council-wide Zoom event. In addition to fun games, you put on a great campfire and an event that was viewed by over 2,000 people over the weekend. Also, the lodge led the way in developing a virus risk management plan to successfully conduct vigils and ordeals this past summer and fall. This plan and the lessons learned from these events is the example the council is asking others in our scouting community to follow in holding events while the COVID-19 virus is with us. Finally, a select number of brothers within our lodge have been the driving force in creating the Camping Continues series, which plays on Facebook every Thursday evening. This show is full of fun, advice, and promotion of the outdoors. If you haven't seen it, give it a try. I close by once again thanking you for being a powerful force for scouting within our council. Due in part to your example this past year, our Council Director of Camping, Phil Barbash, and I are determined to conduct summer camp in 2021 at our council camps. We will be running the camps with a virus risk management plan that builds on your good work in running the vigils and ordeals this past summer and fall. Thank you for leading by example in cheerful service.
Thank you, Mr. Weston. The Vigil Honor is the highest honor that an Arrowman can receive in our order. To introduce our Vigil Class of 2020, I'd like to welcome our Vigil Selections Chair, Benjamin Goldring, and Vigil Inductions Chair, William Gauker.
Thanks, Gabriel. My name is Will Gauker, this year's Vigil Inductions Chair.
And my name is Ben Golding, this year's Vigil Selections Chair.
This year has been one of constant change, yet the passion of scouting still continues bright in each and every one of us. The Vigil Honor is bestowed to airmen who show true dedication to the ideals of brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service in their everyday lives. This year, we had 38 members complete their vigil, and in the coming months, we'll see another 14 additional airmen that are expected to complete their vigil and join their fellow Vigil classmates.
Airmen who have exemplified the Scout Oath, law, and obligation in their daily lives while remaining active for at least 2 years after sealing their membership by obtaining the Brotherhood honor. Each year, our lodge and chapters convenes to select those among us who are most deserving of this prestigious honor.
While we may not be gathering in person, Ben and I want to introduce to you, for the first time ever, the Vigil Class of 2020.
Jonathan M. Anderson shall be known as Willapaju Nutiket, which means
honored guard.
Adam Joseph Bain shall be known as Nika Minzen Tingatu Wingen,
Machque.
which means he eats small sweet bear. Eric J. Baylor shall be known as Kitahaken Takashen, which means ocean leader. Patrick A. Bound shall be known as Chiluwe Shen Wimenhalu Taken, which means much time spent for others. Eric W. Bullock shall be known as Archawan Mateu, which means strong medicine man. Sean R. Byrne shall be known as Mechamaweng Achikidam, which means camp teacher. Nicholas M. Christian shall be known as Gisheteshin Pakint Shishin, which means determined accomplished one. Gabriel Owen Cooper shall be known as Archawan Achpaquis Takashikan, which means strong mouse who leads. Russell A. DeRosier shall be known as Papasui Achagidam, which means patient teacher. Joshua F. Florsheim shall be known as Lichpin Takashin, which means diligent leader. David Joseph Graber shall be known as Latonican, which means one who searches. Michael D. Graber shall be known as Juanita, which means one who knows how. Clarence G. Hoop shall be known as Archigigwan Ashapasim, which means joking trekker. Robert Townsend Hoyt III shall be known as Gehem, which means one who encourages. Johanna C. Cahoe shall be known as Sakajakun Achikidam, which means cook teacher. Claudette Gash Lanning shall be known as Wingalausik Mos Takashin Taken, which means cheerful antelope who leads others. Roy S. Rogers IV shall be known as Lippo Wapalane, which means wise eagle. Noah Philip Ventura shall be known as Tagashin Takashin, which means friendly leader. Craig P. Weston shall be known as Ilu Machamenawik, which means man of valor and camping.
Ryan Bokampani shall be known as Welilu Sway Alangamat, which translates to the kind friend. Douglas Goldring shall be known as Lepoi Katamakwe, which translates to the wise beaver. Erwin Lazar shall be known as Ketan Mangelantit Teshon Hollantit, which translates to humble bobwhite. Richard Mantifuel shall be known as Ushawagan Akgakatem, which translates to knowledgeable teacher. Alex Mead shall be known as Wuatim Kitchkanet, which translates to skillful guide. Mary News shall be known as Geta Gananim, which translates to one who gives back. Peter Nozel shall be known as Amanageshin, which means loudspeaker. Connor Ransom shall be known as Pemsit Sehawiak Alakwepe, which translates to walks with blue crab on his hat. Jack Rushing shall be known as Nagataman Epit, which translates to reliable one who is there. Matthew Rustin shall be known as Pedaman Memshotet, which translates to understanding traveler. Aaron Scott shall be known as Leke, which translates to loyal one. Mark Stoops shall be known as Lapoi Alakwepe, which translates to wise one with the hat. Brian Summers Jr. shall be known as Witch Shaman, which translates to helpful one. Michael Werling shall be known as Nagataman Takashin, which translates to reliable leader. Louis Wiltemuth shall be known as Gatgin Ashoin,
which translates to dancing swimmer. Michael Wokek shall be known as Willamallison Kisham Hahelen, which translates to happy runner. Steve Wolfson shall be known as Getan Mangalanset Gana Akiat, which translates to humble overseer. Philip Zabriskie shall be known as Mamshotet, which translates to traveler.
I want to be among the first to congratulate your completion of the vigil, and on behalf of the Amangamek-Wipit Lodge, thank you for all of your dedicated service to our lodge, to our order, and to our National Capital Area community. Now back over to you, Gabriel.
Every year since 2019, our lodge selects a Vigil Honor member who has provided distinguished service to our order over the course of their lifetime. This year, we are excited to continue that tradition by honoring Colonel Kenneth P. Davis as the 2020 Vigil Class Honoree. Mr. Davis has been a vital figure in our lodge, the region, and even the national level. He's been a member of the Order of the Arrow National Committee for almost 50 years, and he has served as the Director of National Camp Schools and is the current National Director for the Philmont Staff Association. To say a few words, please welcome Colonel Kenneth P. Davis.
Arrowmen of Amangamek-Wipit Lodge, it is a great pleasure today to offer you some thoughts about our lodge and the Order of the Arrow in this challenging year of the pandemic. This deadly virus has spread all over the world and has changed all our lives. And yet I take pride and hope in the fact that our nation and our order have weathered all these difficulties, and we continue to carry on our daily lives, including dedication to a life of cheerful service. Before I continue, I should say how honored I am to be the honoree for the 2020 Vigil Honor class of our lodge. It has been a great experience for me to be a part of the nation's best lodge since I moved to this area in 1974. It is especially meaningful to have been put in the company of the two previous honorees, Larry Rue and Tom Redden. Both of these great servant leaders are legendary throughout scouting and represent the best possible examples of leaders in service. Belonging to a group that includes two of my longest and most cherished scouting friends, like Larry and Tom, made my selection special, and I thank you for that. We just finished 105 years of the Order of the Arrow, and it has a proud and very significant history of offering fun and challenging opportunities to enjoy service with our fellows and to continually recommit ourselves to helping others. It is times like these that I always find it helpful and reassuring if we look back at our founding and our principles to help us feel confident that we will survive these difficulties, maintain a positive attitude, roll up our sleeves, and keep working towards returning our nation and our communities and scouting to a normal existence. As a historian, I often look at what our founders brought us and where we are today. In America, we were a very mixed group of individuals traveling from to a new land, and eventually we are their descendants. By the 1750s, we were full partners with the British Empire, and that would eventually lead to disagreement and revolution. And yet, if we're objective with the evidence that we have, we see that the frontier and colonial peoples were willing to take a chance and wanted to stand on their own 2 feet and be allowed to make their way. They needed space, and they needed farming or commercial opportunities, but they expected to succeed due to the sweat of their brows, not by having someone take care of them. In fact, the frontier forced early America away from a class society, since the title you might have or the amount of money that you might have were of little value in communities isolated far away from the mother country. A pair of willing hands and an active engagement was much more needed in the colonies. Americans, no matter where they came from, expected to be having to work hard, but also expected to get the fruit of their labors without significant taxation or direction from England. They did, in fact, grow to be largely self-governing between 1607 and 1760, more than 150 years of carrying out their own affairs and government. This early experimentation with how to give citizens the most freedom eventually led us to the Constitution, which promised life, liberty, and a chance to pursue happiness. There were no guarantees, but a lot of people wanted to try for themselves, unfettered by the direction from abroad, where the leaders did not face the same challenges as those in North America did. And so we farmed and carried out business and gradually filled up the continent, not without problems or conflict, but by trial and error and making the best decisions we could given the circumstances at any given time. This eventually included the bloody Civil War to end slavery and to live up to our founding principles as a country. By the end of the 19th century, we were beginning to see more and more technology, the spread of canals, railroads, farms, and mining. Eventually would come the use of oil and the growth of industry, cars and electricity, hydroelectric power, dams and roads and bridges to serve the people. And that change to industrialization worried many people as they saw in England and in America more jobs being offered in cities that allowed and required people to work in factories. Those outcomes had many benefits, but there were problems and dangers too. Among these was the worry about young people who had traditionally grown up on farms and at an early age learned to help the family grow the crops and tend the animals. With the new factories, however, came housing close together and less opportunities for people to learn good self-discipline and a sense of accomplishment from their helping on the family farm. What would take place of the farm for educating young people into the expectations of adulthood? From this concern came many movements and groups allied with churches or labor organizations or outdoor groups to engage and educate America's youth. Among these were the Sons of Daniel Boone, led by Daniel Carter Beard, and the Woodcraft Indians, led by Ernest Thompson Seton in America, and the Boy Scouts, started by Lieutenant General Robert Baden-Powell in England. Scouting's first camp is considered to be the one BP held on Brownsea Island off the coast of England in 1907. Soon thereafter, he founded the British Scouts Association. An American version of that scouting organization was formed in Washington, D.C. in February 1910, some 111 years ago. And most of you know the story of our order. Within 5 years of the incorporation of the BSA, the Order of the Arrow was founded at Treasure Island, the camp of the Philadelphia Council, by two energetic 24-year-old young scout leaders, E. Erner Goodman and Carroll A. Edson. What was their purpose? To found an honor society at camp to recognize those scouts who were best able to live up to the ideals of the Scout Oath and Law. It went on in the next 105 years to spread across the nation and challenge and inspire youth members of Scouting to give themselves in service to others. Goodman and Edson came out of the 19th century tradition in the Western world, which today we refer to as Western civilization. It was based in the Judeo-Christian belief that mankind should work diligently to live cooperatively and harmoniously with each other. Given that no two humans are alike, and so there was a wide variety in their skills and abilities and aptitude, Scouting and the OA taught helping others had value to the giver as well as to the recipient. This helpful tradition has continued to this day, as you all know. Due to the dynamic nature of our society, in which there are always challenges, new technologies, and ways for communities to work together and support each other. The concept of American citizenship is based on the idea that our nation must have educated and committed citizens who understand its traditions and its foundations of liberty. Our nation cannot give freedom and opportunity to its citizens if we're not all engaged in meeting the expected duties and obligations of citizens in addition to enjoying the benefits of liberty. There are many places in the early writings of our nation, and long before that, from Greek philosophers and Roman politicians, or even church leaders during the Middle Ages, which hold up the idea that citizens should support and contribute to the common welfare. And among them, in my mind, is one of the greatest statements we've ever had about service to others is the second sentence in our OA obligation. Every time I read it or recite it, particularly if I'm in the fellowship of my brothers as I'm reciting it, I feel a warm place in my heart when I join others in saying these words. I will always regard the ties of brotherhood in the Order of the Arrow as lasting, and will seek to preserve a cheerful spirit even in the midst of irksome tasks and weighty responsibilities, and will endeavor, so far as in my power lies, to be unselfish in service and devotion to the welfare of others. It is this American spirit, born out of the wilderness and the ambitions and hard work of our people over 400 plus years as colonies and as a nation, that Scouting and the OA has supported for the last 105 years. We've met many challenges in politics, wars, natural disasters, and struggles to maintain our liberties, but we have always succeeded. Our lodge and the Order of the Arrow and the Boy Scouts of America continue to this day to teach and practice good citizenship and learning to do our fair share of the task, whether on a campout or climbing a mountain at Philmont or helping our neighbors and communities in food drives and with our Eagle projects. Americans persist, but they also argue and disagree, but in the end usually find a way to work together to get the job done. And the living in this country is nearly always done best at the local level, at the neighborhood park or church, the city council, or the regional grouping of states to share river water. If Americans were trained in and believe in cooperative citizenship, and they continue to put their shoulders together, we will continue to succeed and give all our citizens the liberties and the opportunities they need, and which our republic promises them. And we do our share of that sharing and caring every day in the Order of the Arrow. Scouting and the OA are and always have been open and happy to have members of every class and race and religion. We were built to be good citizens, not to divide ourselves up into groups over differences, but to find our common ground. Like a successful sports team, Americans will always recognize the leaders who work hardest for the group. And one of the great traits of Americans is their welcoming approach to life. We all know that certain people have great skills or great knowledge, but we also recognize that the most valuable members of our troop or lodge or community are those with a great positive attitude. As all leaders and supervisors and managers know, by the time our young people grow to adulthood at age 18, they have developed their personality and their attitude towards life. Any group can train new members in skills and knowledge, but changing a negative attitude is almost impossible. Luckily for our lodge and the Order and Scouting, the OA has long ago found a way to coach and mentor youth members to enhance their positive attitude towards life and serving others. I thank you for that, and know that you will continue to be leaders in service and encouraging good citizenship, self-discipline, and accepting responsibility in caring for others, traits which have always made our nation great. Keep up the good work, members of Amangamek-Wipit Lodge. Our community and nation need you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, and congratulations again to our new Vigil members. Our next speaker is Gabriel Zella, our Lodge's Vice Chief for Membership and Finance, to present this year's Unit of Excellence Award.
As the primary platform where the Scouting program is delivered to youth, the unit is the most vital and important level of the BSA for the Order of the Arrow to support. The Order of the Arrow Unit of Excellence Award seeks to identify those units and the leaders within them who excel at incorporating the OA into their annual planning. This award gives the opportunity to recognize, incentivize, and operationalize unit-level participation in Order of the Arrow programs. Our hope is that participants will benefit from the support initiatives that the Order of the Arrow has implemented to strengthen the unit. This recognition program, along with other tools for unit support, should be distributed and promoted to unit leaders, OA unit representatives, and chapter election teams to include in their communications to units. In times of stress, these units have continued to deliver, achieving this award in the midst of a global pandemic, which is quite the extraneous circumstance. Without further ado, the following units have achieved the Unit of Excellence Award this year. Sully Troop 30, Western Shore Troop 1785, and Chainbridge Troop 164. A big round of applause for them. Great job, guys.
Congratulations again to the recipients of the Unit of Excellence Award. At this time, please welcome back the Lodge Vice Chief for Finance and Membership, Gabriel Rosella, to announce this year's Performance and Measurement Program Award recipients.
And it's time to congratulate our chapters who really did an outstanding job this year and achieved a thriving PMP rating. For those unfamiliar with PMP, it stands for the Performance Measurement Program, and it sets the guidelines for the goals that we all work towards to grow our organization. This year, we've had 3 chapters reach a thriving level, which is extremely impressive, especially with the COVID-19 lockdown. Aquia chapter, you adapted to harsh, unforeseen circumstances and emerged thriving. Aquia was the first chapter to do a virtual induction, and through their brilliant use of technology, they are now quite the successful chapter. Our next thriving chapter, Washington, D.C., made a massive push for dues very early in the season, unknowing that COVID-19 would soon hit. But it worked out really well because they pushed, they acted fast, and because of that, they emerged ahead. Western Shore, our last thriving chapter, also did very well this year. What can we attribute to such success during extraneous circumstance? For all of our chapters and for all of our successes lodge-wide, leadership, hard work, and cheerful service have been the tried and true methods for success. We thank everyone who's put in the work to create such a wonderful program and achieve membership growth. And through a big round of applause for Aquia, Washington, D.C., and Western Shore. You did a great job in PMP this year and achieved thriving status, and we all appreciate it. So thank you guys, and great job.
Thanks, Gabriel. Please welcome the Servant Leadership Award Committee Chair, Patrick Brantley.
Thank you, Gabriel. Good evening. My name is Patrick Brantley, and it has been my pleasure to serve as the Servant Leadership Award Committee Chair. I'd like to take some time to say that we had some outstanding nominations to receive this year's Servant Leadership Award. Before I announce this year's recipients, here's a brief refresher or introduction to what the award is. The Servant Leadership Award is an award to honor those youth who give exemplary service to the Order of the Arrow, Scouting, and their community over an extended period of time. Each year, members of the Order of the Arrow and the Scouting community are asked to nominate youth who are at least 18 years of age, but not yet 21, who by their leadership and service exemplify the ideals of the Order and are role models for other Arrowmen and Scouts. While there is no limit to how many awards may be presented in any given year, the committee may decide that the award will not be presented that year, or may recommend multiple youth. This year, the committee has chosen 2 Arrowmen for this award. Previous recipients and this year's recipients have shown the highest level of service to our Order and Scouting, and we hope to see them continue on this trajectory of devotion to the welfare of others. For their selfless actions in their communities, their home units, and our organization, they will be awarded a commemorative plaque. Additionally, the Lodge will donate $1,000 in their name to be eligible for the James E. West Fellowship Award, for which they will receive a certificate, pin, and a square knot which can be worn on their uniform. Finally, their names will be inscribed onto a brick to be placed in the courtyard of the Marriott Scout Service Center. The first award recipient for this year has quite the resume. He joined his troop in 2013 and worked on the Trail to Eagle, eventually earning the rank in 2017. He was elected into the Order of the Arrow in 2016 and completed his ordeal at Camp High Road Christian Adventure Camp in Middleburg, Virginia. After initially joining, he attended a few events until 2017 when he started to attend as many activities as he could. In 2018, he ran for the position of chapter chief for his chapter and served for 2 consecutive terms. Then he stepped up and took on the position of Lodge Training Committee Chair, planning an excellent Lodge Leadership Development Conference and assisting with many other training and leadership opportunities throughout the Council. Outside of his troop, he is an active member of Venturing, serving as the 2019-2020 Council Venturing President and the 2020-2021 Area 6 Vice President of Administration. For all of his devotion to scouting and leadership, it is my honor to award the Servant Leadership Award to Thomas R. Howard. Thank you, Thomas, for all the amazing work you have done over your career in the Order of the Arrow and beyond, and we can't wait to see what you do next. The next airman also has quite the impressive resume. Long ago, he joined his troop and worked on the Trail to Eagle, eventually earning the rank in 2017. Outside of scouting, he is an active member of his church and their homeless outreach program, accruing many service hours. He was elected into the Order of the Arrow in 2016 and completed his ordeal at Patuxent River Park in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. He was an active member in his chapter and eventually worked his way to chapter chief in 2019. After working hard in his chapter, this Arrowman ran for the Three Rivers Area Chief and has been at the forefront of their activities, including both the Three Rivers Summer Ordeal and their double-header ordeal last autumn. Then, he went on to be Ordeal Master for the first of its kind from our lodge, the Amangamek-Wipit Lodge Virtual Ordeal. For all of his devotion to scouting and his drive to push our order forward, it is my honor to award the Servant Leadership Award to Nicholas M. Christian. Thank you, Nicholas, for all the amazing work you have done over your career in the Order of the Arrow, and we can't wait to see what you do next. These two distinguished young men have been both astonishing and inspiring to every person whose lives they touched. To Nicholas and Thomas, thank you for all you've done for scouting and your communities. To all of you watching from home, thank you for your time, and I turn it back to Gabriel.
Thanks, Patrick, and congratulations again to Nicholas and Thomas. Please welcome the Founders Award Committee Chair, Alex Sohm.
Hello, my name is Alex Sohm, and I'm the Chief of the Francois Key Chapter and this year's Founders Award Committee Chairman. The Founders Award recognizes those Arrowmen who have given back outstanding service to our lodge. Those who have earned this award have also shown that in their everyday lives, they try to live by the principles set by our founders, E. Erner Goodman and Carol A. Edson. While it was a great honor to be the Founders Award Committee Chairman, it was also very difficult. After reading the nominations sent to our committee, we knew it'd be very difficult to narrow down our list. It is very good, though, to know that there's a lot of people out there who are willing to support their communities, scouting, and the Order of the Arrow as a whole. So without further ado, it is my honor to announce the 2020 Founders Award recipients. Our first recipient is from the Patuxent chapter. He's been a part of scouting and the Order of the Arrow for a long part of his life. In his time, he has been chapter chief, chapter lodge vice chief of admin and operations, and has organized several chapter and lodge events. This person is Mr. Zach Brandon. Our next recipient has been supporting scouting and the Order for a long part of her time here as an advisor. In her time as an advisor, she has also led the Amangamek-Wipit contingent to NOAC for many years. This recipient is Miss Melanie Anthony. Our next recipient has been a vital asset for the National Capital Area Council and Amangamek-Wipit Lodge. He has volunteered with the Goshen Scout Reservation for many years, and this led him to following a long time of years following and leading the GOAT teams. This person has also supported the Rock Creek and Old Mill districts. This person is Mr. Richard Kafka. Our final recipient has been the Order of the Arrow since their youth. They have held several chapter positions along with the Lodge Vice Chief of Communications and Administration. This person also started with the Olmsted staff team and eventually rose to be a part of the Olmsted Key 3 leadership. This person is Mr. Devin Little. Once again, I would like to congratulate all of our recipients tonight and thank them for their continued service to the Amangamek-Wipit Lodge.
In November of last year, our Lodge Chief, Lodge Advisor, and Lodge Staff Advisor challenged the members of our Lodge to strengthen their leadership. To tell us more about the challenge and its winner, please welcome our Lodge Associate Advisor for Talent, Mrs. Alexandria Keenan.
The Key 3 Challenge is a new award that was introduced in our lodge in 2020 during the height of the COVID pandemic to promote the importance of key metrics around lodge membership. We want to recognize those chapter, area, and lodge leadership teams who achieve one or more of these key metrics. These metrics are an important part of the Lodge's performance measurement program and are leading indicators of Lodge membership health. The Lodge Key 3 Challenge will recognize youth and adult leaders at all levels of the organization who excel at these key metrics. How the challenge works. There are 3 separate challenges, Each runs from January 1st through December 31st of the calendar year. For each of these challenges that is successfully completed by a chapter, the Lodge will recognize the chapter chief, chapter advisor, and the district executive. One additional adult and one additional youth will be selected by the chapter Key 3 for recognition as well. If a chapter or area successfully completes all 3 of the Lodge Key 3 challenges, the Lodge will present a special Key 3 Challenge Triple Crown Award to those identified in each individual challenge. The first challenge is the Membership Challenge. The Key 3 Membership Challenge is to recognize membership growth at the chapter level. In order to successfully complete this challenge, a chapter must finish the calendar year with at least 1 member more than they finished the previous year. Membership growth can be achieved through membership retention and by the addition of new members through the ordeal induction process. As I read the recipients of the Key 3 Challenge Awards, I will recognize both the chapter and the chapter chief. The recipients of the Key 3 Membership Challenge are Francis Scott Key, Alexander Sohn, Seneca, Connor Ransom, Washington, D.C., Quentin Cologne, and Western Shore, Colby Valentine. The second challenge is the Unit Engagement Challenge. The Key 3 Unit Engagement Challenge is to recognize the chapters making contact with their units in their district. In order to successfully complete this challenge, a chapter must visit 90% of the troops, crews, and ships in their district. A unit engagement is counted as one of the following: conducting a unit election, conducting a camp promotion for the unit, or by contacting a unit and being advised that the unit does not want a chapter visit. The recipients of the Key 3 Unit Engagement Challenge are Aquia, Joshua Florsheim, Chain Bridge, Alexander Shipley, Colonial, Winfield Robinson, Francis Scott Key, Alexander Sohn, George Mason, Brian Summers, Mattapanai, Sean Roos, Old Dominion, Ethan Angersbach, Piedmont, Matthew Hogston, Powhatan, Salim Brown, Seneca, Connor Ransom, Sully, Iker Rodriguez, and Western Shore, Kobe Valentin. The third challenge is the Activation Challenge. The Key 3 Activation Challenge is to recognize the engagement of new youth members at the chapter level within the first 6 months of membership. In order to successfully complete this challenge, a chapter must activate at least 50% of their new youth members within the first 6 months of them becoming a member. The recipients of the Key 3 Activation Challenge are Colonial, Winfield Robinson, Seneca, Connor Ransom, Washington, D.C., Quentin Cologne, and Western Shore, Kobe Valentine. And finally, the Key 3 Triple Crown Challenge. The Triple Crown is given to those chapters and areas who have successfully completed all 3 challenges during the past calendar year. The recipients of the Key 3 Triple Crown Challenge are Seneca, Connor Ransom, and Western Shore, Kobe Valentine.
Each year, the Lodge Chief, along with the Lodge Advisor and Lodge Staff Advisor, have the opportunity to recognize Arrowmen who have gone above and beyond the call to service to our Lodge. Please welcome our Lodge Chief, Stephen Peterson.
Thanks, Gabriel. Before I get started and announce the Key 3 award recipients, I want to take a second to talk about the award itself. In our Lodge, in any given year, there's always leaders who stand out and go above and beyond what is asked of them. And this year is no exception, especially with the challenges of COVID-19 and the difficulties that 2020 brought. So the Key 3 is comprised of the Lodge Chief, the Lodge Advisor, and the Lodge Staff Advisor. And each year we come together and we look at those leaders who excelled and went above and beyond what was asked of them and did a great service to our Lodge. So this year, it is my honor and privilege to announce this year's Key 3 award recipients. The following people have earned the Key 3 award: Joseph Peters, Andrew Hernandez, Mr. Jeffrey Loeffner, Mr. Sven Rudman III, William Stem, Ben Goldring, Mr. Kyle Brendel, Mr. Kurt Brandenburg, the White Oak Ceremonies team, and the Three Rivers Ceremonies team. Thank you and congratulations.
At this time, it is my honor to welcome the Supreme Chief of the Fire and the National Capital Area Council Scout Executive, Mr. Craig Poland, to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see everybody today. Welcome to our 2021 annual Order of the Arrow Lodge Banquet. Despite being in these little boxes and squinting at each other, it's still nice to be gathered together. I think I can speak for all of us when I say I'm looking forward to a time that we can gather together again in person and share in our traditional scouting fellowship. We're not quite to that point yet, but I'm grateful that we're able to gather together. As this is remote driven, I'm going to keep my remarks brief today, and I thought I'd start with a quote from Albert Einstein. He once said that only a life lived in service of others is worth living, and I think this quote ties perfectly with the Order of the Arrow's key purpose of cheerful service to others. If nothing else, 2020 is going to be remembered as a year in scouting that required all of us to serve others in our program in order to keep moving forward. Without question, I am proud and appreciative of everything this lodge has done on behalf of scouting during the past year to make a difference in National Capital Area Council. Our brothers had an impact on just about every single thing that we attempted in 2020, and that included program, camp, advancement, membership, training, and fundraising. Every time that you turned around, it seemed there was a brother present with a sash, with a smile, making a difference, and that truly represents the spirit of this lodge. I'd like to take a moment and just reflect on a few of the accomplishments that we had in 2020, and I do that not to brag, but to thank each and every one of you, because every single one of you on this call had something to do with at least one of these accomplishments. We started in the spring with our Scouting at Home Merit Badge program, and by the end of the year, we'd offered 50 different merit badges, and over 3,000 scouts had earned a merit badge through this program, a truly amazing accomplishment. We went into the summer and implemented our WOW program. These were events and activities that included campouts, campfires, camp promotions, scavenger hunts, adventure speaker series, family game nights, you name it, we did it. The Order of the Arrow Lodge played a huge role in these things, and we had over 80,000 participants take part in these activities. Summer camp, we couldn't get together in person, but that didn't stop us. We had a summer camp at home program. The lodge and our summer camp staff played a huge role in this as well. Over 550 scouts participated, and over 800 families enjoyed safe, exciting family camp weekends at Goshen and Snyder. Last year, we had over 1,151 Eagle Scouts, including 13 members of our inaugural original female Eagle Scout class. Over 300,000 pounds of food were collected through Scouting for Food. This was despite significant restrictions to keep everybody safe. 300,000 pounds of food to feed local families in need. We also documented over 230,000 hours of community service. Absolutely stunning considering working that and doing that in a COVID environment. National Capital Area Council was also in the top 3 in the country in most membership categories, and while we only recruited about 40% of last year's previous total for recruitment, that was 2.5 times the national average. We also led the entire country in a number of female Scouts BSA members that we have in our programs, something that we all can be proud of. And finally, despite substantial challenges, our districts raised more money in 2020 than they did in 2019 through our Friends of Scouting campaign. We managed our expenses, we maintained our staff, and we balanced our operating budget by the end of the year. We also grew our endowment fund, and we maintained our properties, and we ended the year debt-free. Those are things that very few councils in this country can claim, but we did. And I'm also proud to say that our lodge made a generous contribution to our Friends of Scouting campaign. Thanks to everybody for that. So as you can see, despite all of these challenges, all of these obstacles, together as a team, we moved forward. We stood up, we rose, and said we are going to make a difference. I'm going to tell you, 2021 will continue to offer many of the same challenges and obstacles that we faced. But I'll also say this, with the same commitment to brotherhood and service that we saw this year, our incredible efforts at the lodge level will make a difference and continue to keep scouting strong. And for that, I can't thank all of you enough. Let's enjoy a great banquet. It's good to see everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. For his advisor's moment, please welcome our lodge advisor, Mr. Kevin Brendel.
How thankful I am that we are finally together, if only virtually, to hold our annual lodge banquet. I want to start off by saying thank you to the banquet committee for all the work they put into this virtual event. As we look back at 2020, it's been a year like no other in our lifetimes. COVID-19 had a profound impact on the operations of our lodge and programs. It looked as though 2020 would become known as the year of cancellations. As an organization, we had to adapt with the understanding that nothing we did was going to be normal. Today, we recognize teams and individuals who worked tirelessly with our council and national to get new processes, tools, and materials in place that had a significant impact on our lodge in 2020. Their contributions enabled the lodge to resume in-person events, induct new members, and allowed current members to seal their membership in our order. And we did all of this without a single reported COVID-19 case attributed to our events. This was quite an accomplishment. Over the last week, as I've watched the severe weather across the South and shoveled snow here at home, I was reminded of how our lodge is like snow. As I watched the snow fall, I noticed that each flake is unique in size and unique in shape. No two are the same. As flakes of snow come together, they blanket the earth, thin layers in some spots, deep drifts in others. This beautiful snow forms a foundation. It can create snowmen, snow forts, snowballs, and if you lay down in it, snow angels. The things this snow can do are now only limited by the creativity that we apply to it, and the possibilities are endless. Much like the snow, we need to work together as a lodge and apply creative new ideas to deliver a quality program in 2021 for our membership, the scouting program, and the communities we serve. At the very core of the program that we deliver this year, we should maintain our focus on three key areas: membership, unit engagement, and activation. What we do as a team this year will help ensure scouting continues next year. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to those who continue to support us and our program. To our lodge chief, lodge executive committee members, parents, grandparents, spouses, significant others, fellow scouts and scouters, paid professional staff, and friends. Thank you for your unwavering support every single day to help ensure our success in delivering the power of the program. And to our lodge staff advisor, Eric Smith, who makes us feel like we are the most important program he supports, even though we are only one of many. Thank you for always being available for whatever we may need. Your contributions are noticed and very much appreciated. In closing, I leave you with these final thoughts. Let's not worry about what we can't control. Let's focus on what we can control. Let's continue to evolve our program to meet the challenges head on. But most importantly, let's be the snow. Let's be the foundation that the future of scouting is built upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brendel. I will now turn it over to the Amangamek-Wipit Lodge Chief, Stephen Peterson, to close up tonight's banquet.
My fellow Arrowmen, before I get started, I would like to send my personal greetings to everyone taking part in this year's banquet, and a special thank you to you for being a part of this historic moment. In the history of our organization, Lodge Banquet has been a grand celebration of accomplishments, milestones, and a time for fellowship. Just take last year when we gathered at the University of Maryland, welcomed home our 2020 National Chief, and for the first time in years, we celebrated a year of growth in our lodge. Each year, we also make sure to celebrate those who best exemplify the Scout oath, law, and obligation of our order. And this year is no exception to that tradition. But while banquets are a time to look back on an amazing year and acknowledge great accomplishments, they are about so much more than just reminiscing on the past. They are also about inspiring us and plotting a course to achieve new heights of success. Though we may not be gathered in the halls of the University of Maryland, we are still brought together by the scouting spirit that we hold deep within us. The bonds of brotherhood are just as strong as before, if not stronger, because of the dedication each and every single one of you has demonstrated. We look back and reflect upon a year of facing unprecedented circumstances that we are still facing today. But yet, for every story of challenge and difficulty, there's also a story of resilience and triumph. If we look to history as an inspiration, some of our order's greatest moments have been forged in the toughest of times. And it's no secret why either. It's because of people like you, determined scouts and scouters who refused to give up, who went that extra mile, even if it meant just helping out one person. We have stood strong for over 105 years because scouts and scouters like you have existed for over a century. So, when the challenges of 2020 came, when the trail ahead was not blazed, we did not shy away from the challenge. Together, we forged new trails. We took our destiny into our own hands, and we met the moment of our generation. Together, we provided over 51,000 hours of service. That translates to over $1.3 million to our communities when they needed it most. Together, we conducted 21 inductions and welcomed 630 new members into our order and celebrated 37 becoming Vigil Honor members. Together, we also learned scout skills and had fun with over 45,000 scouts across our nation with Camping Continues. So, as we look forward into a new year, I could tell you about all the obstacles that stand in our way, or about all the countless moments of leadership demonstrated. But what I will say to you is that I need you. We need you. Our organization needs you. We're going to need your continued leadership, your support, and your willingness to serve. Because we need to continually adapt our program to the changing world we live in. We need you. This is our great calling, for us to provide cheerfulness and service during these irksome times. This is the moment for each of us to step up and step forward. Take the lessons that you have learned from scouting and apply them to your everyday life. If we can make one small difference today, we can make a world of a difference tomorrow. So let's make our mark on history. Let's be remembered for bringing the dawn of the next century of the Order of the Arrow. Now, before I close, I would like to give one last congratulations to all the award recipients and a special thanks to everyone who worked so incredibly hard to make this event happen. And one last thanks to you for joining us. Now let us remember that scouting continues, and I will see you again at Spring Fellowship.
This has been an Amangamek-Wipit Lodge production.